Welcome to Commander Pop Culture, a place to gather magical information with some laughs, might I add. Hello everyone, welcome. I attended Command Fest Tacoma this year, which was this weekend, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to rewatch a video I made for Command Fest Seattle 2023, and I guess compare and contrast and see how things have improved or not improved. Let you all know if it was worth the price of admission. I only went to Friday because I work the weekends. I'm a registered nurse. That's all I could really attend for, but I had some friends of mine attend both Saturday and Sunday, and I asked them a particular question that I'll go over later in the video. So let's go down memory lane for a little bit. Recently I went to Command Fest Seattle, and I wanted to share with everyone what the experience was like. All in all, I had a blast, but I want people to hear an honest opinion. First topic I want to go over is events. The name is Command Fest. It gives patrons the impression that it's for Commander players. However, there was a distinct lack of Commander-related events. There are only 1 to 2 Commander events daily, and that people either duked it out with March of the Machine pre-constructed decks or drafted Commander Legends. Those being the only Commander events, players came in droves to participate, only to be turned down because they didn't have enough product to support the demand. What I suggest to fix that problem is offer more events that are Commander related. You can't fix what you don't have regarding product quantities, so you should offer more something else to soften the blows of disappointment. Okay, so the topic of lack of Commander related events, that was still true. I imagine based on the demand of the sealed products, that was still an issue. And another topic that I wanted to talk about, because the set was MH3, the expense was significantly higher than last year's. I remember you got event tickets last year and it would cover the cost of at least one event. You got 15 tickets per day, same as last year, but because the product was premium, you had to sink extra money to participate in an event and you didn't get a free event. So that was a major bummer from my point of view. As for the other events, they were all pre-release limited related that took excessively long to finish. I don't know what the timers were for each event, but some would take 5+ hours to finish. It was a real bummer to learn the hard way that half your day was used up just to participate in a single event. By the second day, myself and most players were using their tickets to get their kits, then drop from the event because it wasn't worth our time. To fix that, you could break up the group into smaller ones by setting a player cap and run multiple events at the same time. That way, if a single person is suffering from analysis paralysis,
hold on, wait, hold on,
they don't drag down all 100+ players that are registered for one event. It's a way to sort of hedge your bets. Another idea is to have stage panels where Commander figureheads talk about the state of the game, what they're looking forward to, what they like, what they don't like, Q&As, etc. You already have a stage, a PA system, and guests paid to be there. So use them. We want to hear their thoughts. The special guests that were there, it was the same issue. I don't think they had a PA system in the Tacoma Center. It felt kind of strange. The whole convention center, or the space that they used for this year's event, it was smaller. That kind of influenced everything. There were fewer artists, there were fewer vendors, and I think the plus side of the space being smaller is it was a little bit better organized in terms of where everything was. The vendors were clearly in one place, the Commander free play was in one place, and the event tables, they were in one place as well. In last year's Command Fest, the vendors were around the entire outside. Let's draw that. Seems like fun. I like spatial learning here. This is pretty accurate for the floor design, minus there was a big old hole in the floor and is that looked down to the other level, and the Commander free play was just over here. It was really small and there wasn't a whole lot of space. And then they had the artists around in smaller booths that went all the way around like this. All the event tables were over here and it just dominated most of the space. All the vendors it lined the entire length of at least 2 walls, and then there was some kind of over here occupying these empty spaces. One of the biggest vendors didn't show, and that was Card Kingdom, which is really strange because Card Kingdom is probably one of the biggest in the state of Washington. Granted, it was further for them to drive because they actually moved locations. Card Kingdom used to be in Seattle, but they were having issues with woke employees, so they moved to a small town. I imagine the overhead was a lot cheaper. But anyways, Card Kingdom was like over here, and they never showed up this year. I would say there was like a reduction of maybe 25% of vendors, give or take. So that was a bummer. The artists, there seemed to be close to the same number, but slightly less. I was a little disappointed in that because that's like the big draw of these events. A subject matter that I want to talk about that was kind of like the big gross oversight. The purpose of going to Command Fest is for 4 reasons. You went for the vendors, you went for events, you went for Commander games, and you went to visit artists. You don't really get an opportunity to meet them outside of major events. So my biggest issue with this year's event is you can go attend this event without buying the price of admission. The artists, they were set up in the hallway. You can just walk up after you go up the escalators and see all of them. You could also walk into the event, and the badge desk was located in the center of the convention, meaning the doors were over here and you could just walk in. This in turn meant that you can see the vendors and the artists without paying a dime. One half of this event you could have just avoided paying the overhead costs and got half of the experience. Which I don't understand why they did that. It kind of made me feel like...
You know what you get for pre-ordering a game? A big dick in your mouth.
That's exactly how I felt. And oddly enough, the thing that you were paying for overhead-wise was for events and to play EDH, which is normally free anyways. So overall, you're getting 1/4 of the experience with your price of admission. It felt really scummy, and it felt like I was getting ripped off a little bit. And I imagine a lot of people felt the same way. And even so, you could make arguments that events, you could just do that at your LGS. When multiple vendors are together, they have to compete with each other in terms of pricing, which there are fewer of, and that means they could have higher card prices than they did last year. There's fewer competition. I would say this year's Command Fest heavily favored these two entities of Command Fest. It really felt like a slap to the consumer's face. People that ran this year and last year's Command Fest was Laughing Dragon. I imagine a couple of reasons why things went down the way that they did. Maybe they had fewer artists show up because they weren't exactly selling prints or selling signatures as much as they would like for Laughing Dragon to get them to come back or attempt to retain artists. They wanted it so more traffic would be able to get their way. And obviously, if you make it free to go to these things, there's more traffic. It just sucked. Like, I don't know honestly why I paid. I could have done either the events or the EDH at home, and my 15 free tickets couldn't cover the cost of an event anyways because of the premium product of Modern Horizons 3. So I just literally turned them in for 3 packs of whatever, and I didn't even attend an event this year.
Vendors. Too many foils. Maybe this is just a personal gripe or just a stupid complaint. I typically only go for foils that enhance an artist's image. If the foiling process softens lines and blurs colors, I don't buy them, nor do I buy them to impress others. Old foils are consistently good, however, the Pringle phenomenon that has been plaguing sets post-Dominaria, I don't care for. If I'm forced to sell my Pringles at a damaged price, then they should be paid for at a damaged price. I, like most players, don't want to pay a premium near mint price for something that is warped. Maybe this is why there's such a saturation of foils at the vendor inventories, because few want them. To me, the foil loses its luster if the card reminds me of chest bursers from the Alien series. But I think diversifying your buy lists would be a good start. What I did like about the vendors, they're awesome to do business with. I did so with each vendor to show support. I have first-hand experience to back up that claim. But I could be just a good/understanding customer. They were well organized and willing to broker large and time-consuming trades. Not that I partook in those, but I did witness staff digging through shoeboxes of chaff and flipping through binders of cards that owners are unwilling to part with. I don't know why people do that. The staff were still polite. They were respectful to each customer despite those unideal behaviors I previously mentioned.
A lot of that stuff is still true. I still saw people bringing their treasure troves of chaff and forcing staff of these vendors to go through them, and they were still polite to them. So good on them for the few that were there compared to last year. I kind of made out like a bandit this year. I think I got $400 worth of value from vendors this year. That means that's $400 less dollars I had to spend, and I didn't have to like empty my entire trade binder either to do it. I think I traded at like a 75% value, which you normally don't get anywhere, even at your local LGS. It's kind of nice to offload stuff because I had a full binder, and I think I only got rid of maybe 20 cards out of a 360 card binder, and I got $400 worth of trade value, and I used that to pick up a bunch of singles from MH3. The foil comment, I still feel the same about that as I did a year ago. I still think foils really suck. That did change this year. I saw fewer foils than I did last year. There were still like one or two vendors that had like half of their inventory representing foils, but a good chunk of them had non-foil inventories, which I really appreciated. That's what I bought and traded for, personally.
I try to meet as many players as I can and try as many new things as possible. These events are rare, and you paid top dollar to be there, so put yourself out there. It's the safest place to be out of our comfort zone, because we all love Magic. Yes, you will run into some lousy people. You have the freedom to do whatever you want. The freedom is just a double-edged sword, and people have the freedom to behave like jerks. The beauty of 7.8 billion people on this world is that there's always someone else out there that you could probably vibe with.
Dude, screw this. I don't want to see anymore. Kyle, this is the way the world works. If you want to find some quality friends, you gotta wade through all the dicks first.
When I was talking about the lousy folks, I still remember them from last year's event. I brought my budget decks to last year's event, $100 decks, and I made people so angry that they wouldn't even shake my hand. They asked me to get up and leave. It was pretty brutal. I think at the time when I made this video, I didn't want to get in too much depth about it because the feelings were still pretty raw. Now I'm much more neutral about it, and as a person I've developed more. I think people should be allowed to express emotions however they please, and sometimes I fall on the receiving end of those. I've been practicing as a registered nurse now for a year, and that happens all the time in my job, and now I just really don't care. It just happens, and it's nothing personal. I can't make everyone happy, unfortunately. I try my best. I try to be as, I guess, receptive to people as I can. I fortunately didn't bump into this. I didn't have as much time to meet as many players as I would have liked. I only could attend one day, and I'm kind of glad I did so. Based on my disappointments that I've already discussed earlier, I would have hated to have invested more money for Saturday and Sunday. I'm kind of glad that I only got quote-unquote ripped off for one day. I still met some really awesome quality people. I only got to play 2 games in a single pod, and those guys are some of the coolest individuals I've ever met. Again, I brought my budget decks. They were very impressed with what I could do on $100, and I hope people watching this will check out my content in terms of my deck constructions and my gameplay videos, where I get to show the stuff I do, even if I can't show you in person.
The premium of people that every group of players should have. Meeting them alone made the price of attending Command Fest. With all its flaws, I'd say it was worth it.
Was it worth it this year? It's a shame to say, and I did meet some quality people like I did last year, but because of the monetary ripoff I was talking about, I can't endorse saying it was worth the admission. And I feel like the bad this year kind of just outweighed the good. I kind of want to interview some Laughing Dragon employees. I don't know if I'd ever get them to be on recording, answer some questions about this year's Command Fest, because obviously I don't want them to lose their jobs. I would ask some pretty hard questions, like the whole admission table thing. I speculated about the type of product that this event was centered around, and I speculated about being more friendly towards the artists and the vendors rather than the consumer. Those would be really hard questions for Laughing Dragon employees to answer. I don't know if I'd actually get something truthful about it because I fear it'd paint not the best light. If I had to describe what I learned, don't pre-purchase your tickets to attend next year's Command Fest if you do go. When I checked how many pre-sale tickets that were sold, it was pretty sad. Like, I remember there was 29 sold for Friday, and when I checked for Saturday, there was 36. So they're not exactly reaching their max capacity anytime soon. I wish I had just shown up, went to the vendors, went to the artist. If I felt like I had time to play more games of EDH or play events, then buy the ticket of admission. I didn't really feel like I got $50 worth of value. That's all I really have to say. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope my honest opinion didn't come off as too pessimistic, but those are my true honest feelings. And I think if you asked anybody else that attended that event, they would say the same thing. So everyone take care now.